All I gotta say, football back, yeah, football back, football back, football back. All I gotta say.
Hi, this is Joe Daniel with FootballDefense.com. Today we're going to take a look at choosing the right defense for your team for the upcoming season. When we look at choosing a defense, there's a few things that you want to take a look at very closely. And really simply, every defense works. I think one of the biggest mistakes that I know that I made early on as a coach and still make sometimes is thinking that there's one defense out there or one scheme that's going to be the fix or the cure-all, or that there's a right way to play defensive football and that there's only one right way. The truth is that there are tons of defenses out there and they all work. People have won championships in a 3-4 and 4-2-5 and a 4-4 and 4-3 and 3-5-3 and everything else out there. Doesn't matter what it is. People have won with it. And as long as the defense fits a certain few key characteristics, it's a defense that you can win with. Today we're just going to look at two real simple questions. And these are questions that we talked about in our ebook, the free ebook that you can get at FootballDefense.com. You can download our defensive installation manual, which goes through the entire process of choosing a new defense. The two of the keys that we looked at there, number one is it sound? So when we choose a defense, we want to know if it's sound. And number two, can we teach it? So those are the two, to me, the biggest things that we need to know when we go to choose a defense. The first question of is it sound has two components to it. The first one is a sound defense. When we talk about a sound defense, we mean one that can really and truly fit against no matter what your opponent runs out there, that this defense will work against it. Number one is, do we have all the gaps covered? Okay, we've got the A gaps and the B gaps. The A gaps between the center and the guards. We've got the B gaps between the guards and the tackles. We've got C gap between the tackles and the tight ends. And then we've got the outside and our outside contain. Can we fit all those gaps? Can we secure all of those gaps? If we can, then we've got a sound defense. And that to me is the first question, the first step to having a sound defense is, do we have all the gaps covered? In an 8-man front, like a 4-4, 4-2-5, or 3-5-3, covering all the gaps is fairly easy because you've got 8 men and you've normally got 8 gaps. It gets a little bit tougher when you go to a 7-man defense like a 3-4 or a 4-3 because you've got 7 guys in your defensive front to cover 8 gaps. So that's where you start to have to get some 2-gapping going on and getting your safeties involved in their run reads. But that all goes with whatever defense you choose. As long as it has a system for covering all the gaps, it can become a sound defense. The second question is, does the coverage match the front? And I think that sometimes coaches don't consider if there's a certain coverage that they really want to run, does it fit what they want to do up front? Because these are two pieces that are not separate. Somebody in your coverage, usually your linebackers, but somebody in your coverage is going to be involved heavily in stopping the run, but also be a key component in your coverage. For example, if you're running a cover 3, in an 8-man front, a 4-2-5 or a 3-5-3 defense, your two overhang safeties or outside linebackers, however you want to call them, are a crucial part of your coverage in that they're in charge of the flats. But they're also a crucial part of your run game in that they're probably the contained player against the run. So if our coverage in our front didn't match, then we would have a problem. For example, if we ran a cover 2 with our 3-5-3, and we rolled that safety, one of those 2 overhang players, back to give us 2 deep safeties, we better do something with our front. Doesn't mean that you can't do it, but you better do something with your front to account for the guy who's normally your outside contained player being lined up 14 yards off the ball. So the question, along with do we have all the gaps covered, is are we matching our coverage with our front? And if our coverage and our front match, there's some natural fits. Cover 4, cover 2 are a natural fit with a 4-3 or a 3-4. Cover 3, cover 1 are natural fits with your 3-5-3 and with your 4-2-5 and other 8-man fronts. You have natural fits, but whatever you're going to run, even if it's not the natural fit coverage, it has to work with your front. Those 2 key components have to be combined together. next part is, can we teach it? To me, that's the most crucial part of your defense. Because again, if you pick a defense, if you choose any defense from, whether you are reading books or you're going to clinics, you're looking at footballdefense.com, you're going anywhere, you're visiting colleges, wherever you're going in order to learn your defense, in order to install your defense, all of the schemes in the world, the blitzes and the coverages, the techniques, none of it matters if you're not able to communicate that to the guys who actually have to do it. Because your ability as a coach to scheme things during the summer, or during the spring, or in the winter really doesn't matter if your guys aren't able to execute what you want to have done during the fall. So I think that along with, do we have all the gaps covered, and do we have a great match between our coverage and our front? Is this thing a great defense? Can it stop everything? Can it be adjusted to everything? It's all great if you can teach it. So the next part that you have to do once you choose that defense is to get together with your staff and decide, how are you going to teach each technique, and how are you going to teach players to execute these techniques? How are you going to design drills that are going to teach the fundamentals of this defense? Cover all those bases and you're going to have a good defense. And again, you can read more in our free ebook on Defensive Installation Manual as you're updating your defense, whether you're making massive changes or just making some tiny tweaks in the off season. You can download that free ebook by signing up with footballdefense.com. Thank you for listening today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Stop by footballdefense.com for that free ebook. Have a great day.
It's football back. I put it all on the line. I got my chin strapped. All I gotta say is football back.